Big Ed here, and today we are going to talk about reloading 308 Winchester. We're going to talk about getting this to become this right here, a completed round, and the steps we're going to take to accomplish that. First thing you're going to need is brass. And one of the things I'm going to talk about is the reason I'm reloading 308, because I'm looking for an accuracy round. I'm looking for a 1,000-yard long range, very accurate round. So you have to pick one brass, either, whether it's Winchester, whether it's Remington, whether it's Lapua, whether it's Norma, or Hornady. And there's probably others I haven't mentioned out there, but I decided to stick with Hornady brass because I've already shot a lot of the 68 Hornadys. So I ended up buying this box right here on Gunbroker right here, and I got 412 cases of Hornady matched brass right here, once fired for, I think, it was like $100 or somewhere in that ballpark. So I was happy with that. So, and this is stuff is 308 brass is tough to come by. There's a good demand, still healthy demand for 308 brass. And this already came tumbled, so I was pretty happy with that. And I do have my own tumbler right here. So here's my tumbler right here, and for the sake of not being too repetitive, and there's my media down there. Then I also have some backup media too, and there's some of the little bit of polish. That's a little cleaner wax I throw in there. My compound looks like, I don't know where that is, and I'll throw a little rubbing compound in there too to shine them up a little bit more. But it's pretty simple, and you can look at my other videos to see how it's done. But basically fill the thing like halfway up with media, pour your brass in there, fire it up, let it sit in there for an hour or two, depending on how dirty it is, how clean you like it, and then strain it out, and you have clean brass. But that's pretty straightforward, and if you have any questions, I'll post them below, or look at my other videos. So right here I have my 4-piece Lee reloading die set. This first die right here is a full-length resizing die. Then I just have the neck sizer die, the bullet seating die, and the factory crimp die. The reason I like, you can get away with a 2 or 3 die set. The reason I like the full-length resizer die is just since I bought once fired brass, I'm going to need this because I don't know what kind of a gun it was shot out of. And even if it was shot out of a Remington 700 like mine, the chamber might not be identical. So I probably want to start with fresh, factory spec 308 brass. But once I do fire it once I resize it once and fire it and reload them for the second time, then I'm going to go ahead and just neck size them for my Remington 700. And that way your brass will last longer, and it's already fire formed to your chamber of your gun. So just shoot it out of your one gun, and that's the way to do it. It's just a neck sizer. And then your bullet seating die, obviously you need that pushes your bullet and makes sure get your overall case length measurement. Also too, if sometimes the bullet won't, and that's your factory crimp die right there. If your bullet doesn't go in, you don't feel some resistance, and you can feel it as you're seating your bullet in there. I'll set some rounds inside and maybe put like the littlest, tiniest crimp on them. But I would also recommend for any semi-autos, even bolt-action guns, especially a hunting gun that's going to be heavy with the recoiling, you're going to want to throw a little crimp on them. But for mine, I do not crimp them unless I feel they're really light. Then I'll put it on and turn it like a quarter of a turn and give it a very light crimp, just to hold them together so the bullets don't fall into the case or get pushed out if it's a compressed charge at all. But but that's also nice to have. And anybody running an AR-10, you have to, or not. I shouldn't. We'll phrase it as a semi-auto 308 rifle. I would put a crimp, at least half turn crimp on your 308 ammo. And also light hunting rifles. Depends on what you're doing. If you're going to be walking around in the woods for a hunting trip, I would crimp your rounds. But if you're just taking them to the range, you'd be all right without the crimp. But and that's the reason I get those. So I'm a big fan of the 4-die set. So next is our little, that's our little holder right there, and this just slips right into our RCBS press right here. And we'll go ahead and raise up the ram. Just insert that, and that's it right there. We'll raise the ram all the way to the top right there. We're going to fully resize some of this used brass I bought. And the way you do that is, it's pretty simple. Just screw the die all the way down till it hits the ram. It's snug, and then tighten your nut right here so it doesn't back out. And just hand tightening is fine. So that's that right there. And so we're ready to start depriming and resizing our brass. So the next step is case lube right here. I love spray lube, and there's other ways you can do this. You can get funny little mats and you know, rub your cases around by hand in mats and with lube, and that's all fine. But this is a little quicker. So kind of what I'll do is I have this Hornady one-shot case lube, and this is for your resizing die. So basically, you're not supposed to breathe this stuff. So I'll hold my breath. I'll basically spray them, I'll roll them a little bit, spray them again, and just roll them around a little bit with my hand. Then I'll walk away for a minute and kind of let it, you know, the vapors go away. And I have my garage door open here, so get the vapors out of here pretty quickly. So now you can see we have our cases lubed up right here. We're going to go ahead and put one. We'll put one in the ram. And that's it. That is a resized and deprimed 308 brass right there. The other thing I love too is if you have a 45, got a 1911 or a Glock 21 or anything else that shoots 45 ACP, these trays right here are beautiful to reuse for 308, you know, for anything 300 Win Mag, anything 30-06, these all fit beautifully in here. So we'll go ahead and we'll just show you we'll do a couple of these. But my whole idea for reloading, and I try to be pretty careful. You know, I've done a bunch of 308s so far. As you can see in the background here, I have another tray right here. These have all been resized, and I'm in the process of repriming or priming these cases and cleaning out the primer pockets. And I clean each primer pocket out by hand, you know, looking for consistency. And then I prime each one by hand. And a lot of people prefer hand priming tools. I like priming it on the press right there with your little priming arm. I can feel that. I like that better. I tried the RCBS hand priming tool. I didn't like it, so I sold it on eBay. Another step for case prep you can do really quickly is you can take a tool like this and kind of deburr the inside and the outside of the neck right here. Basically, that's pretty easy. I'll just take it like that, just a little bit. And that's it basically right there, and that'll deburr the you know, your cases and make them nice. And you can see it'll leave a little shiny part right inside of the neck of the case. So now we're going to start priming some of our cases and cleaning the primer pockets. So what we have here are CCI large rifle primers, number 200. These are pretty standard. I like CCI. They've always gone bang for me. And the way this works is, and we have our RCBS priming tray right here, and this is very handy. It makes your life very easy for like an extra $10. So first thing we'll do is we'll take our primers out of here, and I'll try to keep this in view, and they just slide out. And as you can see, most of them are the right end up, but some of them are not. So what we'll do is we'll hold our tray here, flip it over, clamshell them together, turn it over, and lift it up, and then we have our empty. And we'll save that just in case we don't end up priming all these. We'll put them back in there, or we'll leave them in the case. That way you always remember, and all you have to do is shake this around right here. If I can do this correctly. It's kind of tough. See, that's close enough. I've got, and so basically it's got these little ridges on it, and it flips all the primers right side up, and as you can see, I've basically got them all but two, and I have a kind of a tough angle here. So that's it. So then the next step, we got our primers ready. I'll put these where I can grab them easily. We'll leave them right there so you can see them. The next step is we're going to take our resized case right here, and we have our little cleaning tool right there, and it's basically got two ends on it. It's got a small end for small primers, and a large end for large primer pockets. And a 308 takes a large rifle primer. So we'll basically go in there, and we can see the black in there, and just take it in there, twist it side to side, you know, blowing it, and that's clean. And that's it right there. And another step we could do is they make tools, and I haven't got into this yet for 308. I know, you know, and someday I probably will, but to go in there and deburr the actual priming pot, the hole right there, the flash hole, so you get some, you know, better even ignition. But this is good brass, and someday I'll start that. But that's a nice clean hole. So the next step we'll do is we'll want to prime our brass. So we'll go ahead and insert it in the press. We're going to grab one primer. We have this little arm right here, and I already have it set up with the large primer pocket little arm on there, and you can see it right there. Put our little primer in there. Oh, there's another thing too. Wear safety glasses too. I'm throwing them on right now, taking my sunglasses off. You want to make sure, so obviously primers can go boom, that you have safety glasses on. So we'll go ahead. There we go. So that one's primed nicely right there. And I'll go ahead, and when I reload rifle ammunition, especially, I don't really load rifle ammunition for plinking stuff. Plinking stuff, I'll just buy stuff for it, and you know, or like warm-up rounds. I won't start shooting my hand loads like the first 5 rounds out of my 308. You know, I'll shoot a couple cheap rounds and wait till the barrel's, you know, warmed up a little bit. I got some powder in there and some fresh copper fouling, so it really dials in your accuracy. So basically, run your thumb across it, make sure it's a little recessed, and this one feels good right there. And we'll put it in our tray back here, and we're rocking and rolling. Let's do another one right here. And as you pull the lever back, it will push my little priming arm forward. And that's it. So we've got a nice little rhythm going here. And you know, this is something that isn't the quickest process, but I don't like a progressive press for big rifle rounds. I mean, if you want plinking stuff, that's fine, but as far as accurate loads, I mean, this is true hand loading right here. When you're you know, looking for accurate rounds for your rifle, and you know, make sure each one's good. That one's not quite down all the way, so we'll give it a little more pressure. There we go. But you know, basically each one is you know, handmade by you. So we've got 5 cases right here that are all nicely cleaned. The primer pockets are. So we're going to go ahead and just give you another view of priming these. So we got a case in there. You see our little arm right here comes out. It's got a little spring mechanism with a large primer pocket on there. Again, I have my safety glasses on. We'll go ahead and we'll make a couple tracks here with, and you know, you want to get up a nice rhythm here, because this isn't the speediest process. But if you want accurate ammunition, you're not going to beat this, and this is going to be much more accurate than, you know, you can get some very good factory ammunition, but is it expensive? And you're also going to save, especially my experience is the bigger the round, pistol or rifle, the more money you will save by hand loading. I have paid up to, you know, at boutique gun shops, you know, mom and pop gun shops, I've paid upwards of $35 for 168 and 175, you know, federal gold medal match, you know, a box of 20. So that, you know, that's getting quite expensive. And that stuff can be had at Dick's for like $27 a box plus tax. It's probably $30. So you can see we have all of our, you know, brass cleaned up, and it's all primed up here, and ready for the next step, which is powder charge and a bullet seat. We got just shy of 200 rounds here, and on to the next step. And also keeping it organized. That's always important with reloading. You know, organized. You know, I started them like this when they were just resized and deprimed, and then as I prime, I put them up like that right there, so I know they're primed, keeping the job organized. So now we're going to start adding our powder charge to our cases, and this is very important. And this is what takes a really lot of time, because I'm going to do each one individually, and we'll go through step by step of what I do. But one thing is you want to make sure your scale is zeroed. So we got all of our weights on 0 there. You can see we're zeroed up over here. That's our RCBS scale. But this is a very important step, and for powder we're going to use IMR 4064, and that's definitely one of the 308 faves. And my reloading book is calling this the #1 powder for the 175s. We're going to get the most velocity out of this. And Varget was very tough to get and very expensive. I've used that in the past, and I've liked that a lot. But this is what I could get, and this is what's affordable, and this is a top-notch 308 powder. And I believe this is what's used in the military round, is the 4064. So we have our powder right here, and we've got our powder measure right here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to fill it up. We're going to put some powder in here to get us going. And I see this is my first time using this. This is a cylindrical powder. And you want to be very careful. Make sure I have safety glasses on right now. We'll go ahead, we'll fill it halfway up. Close it back up. And another thing I like to do too is whenever I'm working with a powder, I'll always keep the powder out. My other powders are in my cupboard, but I always keep the powder out so I know what's in there, and that's very important too, because you wouldn't want to put a pistol powder into a rifle cartridge. And so some of our grains right here. So now we're going to start setting up our powder charge. And again, we started the video with the original diagram for the 308. And this is a reloading manual right here, and pretty much tell you how to reload cartridges, pistol and rifle bullets. This is something you have to get a book. You don't technically need the Lee one, but I like this one because this one wasn't really specific with bullets to use. You get the Hornady one, and they're going to push their bullets. So you definitely need, and it's big and it's fat, but you have to get this. And this is basically, it's a huge amount of safety that you're going to get from this book as you're charging cartridges. So what we have right here is we're loading 175 grain Sierra Match Kings, and IMR 4064 right here. The starting charge is 41.5 grains of powder, and it's maxing at 45.6. And what I've read online is it looks like kind of 42 grains is a sweet spot, which I was kind of surprised. That's on the low end. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to load up about 5 at this low end, and then work our way up to close to maximum here, and load some cartridges and see how they go. But buy a book, have a book. And the way I'll set this up is for my target weight of 41.5 grains right here is I'm going to set this powder measure right here at about 41 grains, and then I'm going to use a powder trickler right here, and I'm going to have it right back here by my scale, and I'm just going to trickle that and use that to get to my target weight, because this thing isn't perfectly accurate. I'll use this for pistol rounds and like reload 9mm 45 or 357 and just get it, and I'll measure every 10th one to make sure it's correct. But for rifle rounds and getting accurate rounds, I'm going to hand measure each charge and make sure each one is to 1/10 of a grain of where I want it, and then I'll slowly dump it into each case. And then normally with pistol rounds, pistol cartridges, I'll just take the cartridge right underneath there and then drop a charge into it. But I'm not going to do that here. We're going to take each step. So I'm going to go ahead and set it up, and then we'll go back and show you how I do that. So I've got my powder measure pretty much set up. It's just a pinch over 41 grains, and my ideal charge is going to be 41.5 right here. And oh, by the way, safety goggles. And so basically it's pretty simple. You just unscrew this little bolt right here, and it just operates a piston system, and just the piston controls how much of the empty cavity is open or closed for how much. Keep the measure right underneath it so the stuff isn't flat. And cylindrical powder doesn't meter as well as a round powder, and you'll get the feelings of different powders. So there's my charge right there. So you can see, so we just dropped our powder charge right here. Let's see if you can. There we go. You can see the powder in the little dish right there. And we'll go ahead and we'll take our charge and we'll put it right into the scale. Try to be gentle. I can see it's on the light side, which is exactly what I want. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll turn our little. Alright, so we have our powder trickler set up, and I've got my eye on the 0. We've got it set at 41.5 grains. And what this does is just got a little cylindrical thing, pretty simple, but it's well worth it. And we're just going to bring the load right up to 41.5 grains. That's it. So we have our full load. So you can see here's another angle right here. We got our charge in there. I'm going to just put my head down here so I can, and we're just going to use the powder trickler. And you can see our balance beams coming right up and to it. And this is a really good system right here. Just go very slowly because we're looking for accuracy and consistency. Is the main word right here. We're looking for reloading. You can see it well from over here. We're getting there. I like taking my time for rifle ammunition, and I'm not racing. I don't suggest if you're looking for accurate ammo that anybody race. So next we're going to take a case right here. We're going to put our funnel on it. I'm going to dump our charge in there. It's all in there. See, it's close to the top. And there's a charge case, and we'll go ahead. Drop our charge. And basically we're not too concerned with the powder measure for rifle ammunition. We're looking to get 95% of the powder in there, and then we're going to trickle it, the rest of it in there to top it off. And this is the slow, monotonous part right here that just takes a long time. But this is where you get real accurate ammo. And I just shot some 175s with Varget, and I shot I think it was a 1 3/8 group at 200 yards, and I was really happy with that. So there we go right there. 2 charge cases, and we'll just keep on this process till we're going to go for 50 rounds right now, because this will take some time. So the next step is we have our bullet seating die right here, and this is going to seat the bullet. And as I prime, as I fill my cases with powder, I like to seat the bullet in it right away. Just it keeps me organized, and I know what cases are empty, and I know which ones are done, because that'll basically be it for a loaded round for me. I'm not going to crimp these, since these are going to be bench press shot at 200 yards for my ladder test, and I won't go ahead and crimp these. And my next batch, when I find my load and the chart, the combinations I'm going to use, I'm going to go ahead and probably put just a tiny little crimp on those. So we'll go ahead and this is our bullet seating die. We're going to screw that down until it touches it. The directions say to go to quarter turn pass on the ram. I don't think that's necessary, because you're really just seating the bullet in there, and it's not touching the bottom of the brass, so you don't need to over tighten it. So I'm going to put it in there. It's tight against the ram. Ram's in the up position right here, and then I will tighten the lock nut. So our die is nice and tight in there. It's tight, and what I'll do is then I'm going to back out the actual bullet seater a lot, and that'll be plenty right there. It's not going to go ahead and seat the bullet at all. So, and the projectiles we'll be using today will be, and I love these, and these are very popular for a 308 right here, are the Sierra Match King 175 grain boat tail bullets, and these are good 1,000-yard bullets from a 308 and a lot of other rifles. So we're going to go ahead. We have a charge case right here. Eyeball it, make sure it's charged, and we will place our projectile, the bullet, into the case like that. We're going to place it on the ram. Get the priming arm out of there. We're done with that for now. We're going to go ahead and I feel that we'll lower the bullet seater down on it. I could feel that tighten up. That obviously is not supposed to look like that, so that's too long. Alright, went in there. So, and I happen to know from memory, you're going to need these for reloading, and pretty much any cartridge, but rifle cartridge is very important. We're going to go ahead and load these to the maximal overall length, and that's 2.8 inches. So we're going to go ahead, and this looks to me like it's still a little big, but we'll go ahead and we'll set our calipers right on the nose there. 2.8. Let's check our round. We're a little big right here, so I'll go ahead and lower it a little bit more. And this is one of those things, once you set it, alright, I'll show you my whole system right here. We're going to grab a prep case right here that's primed and cleaned up. Go ahead and put the funnel on it. Grab our hand weighed charge of 41.5 grains. Dump it in there. Make sure it's all in there. It's in there. Put it in the press. And what I'll do is, while I'm seating the bullet, I'll have another charge on the scale right there just to stop it from wiggling and start working that charge up. And then this is basically my system right there. And these bolt tail bullets are nice because you don't have to flare the cases. Little long right there. I don't mind if they're a little long because this is going into my 700, so yeah, that's fine. So there we go. Take our case right here, trickle our charge up to, and the other thing I'm going to do once I'm finished with this 5th round is I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to write on each case, because tumbling the case next time will remove the Sharpie of exactly what charge is in here. And since I only have the 4064 IMR now, I know that this is my powder. I'll write 41.5 on all of these cases right here. So there we go. There's our first 5-round batch. And the other thing is, I recommend getting good ammo holders right here. This is just one of these MTM case guard right there, and this holds short action rifle cartridges, 243, the 6s, the 6.5s, and all that, 308s, all that kind of stuff, 338 Federals. But these are great, and I would suggest, if you're going to spend this much time handling ammo, put the ammo in something nice to care for it in. So here we go, is our first 5 rounds for our ladder test right here. And as you can see, I've labeled these 41.5 with my Sharpie right here. Pretty simple stuff. And in the next step, so we've got our next charge lined up right here with 42 grains of IMR 4064. Sure, it's in there, it's in there. And as they say, we're going to go right up the ladder. And we'll set that charge in there. We're good here. Place the projectile in here. And I really like the way these are going down, because you can feel the a little bit of friction on that projectile that's going into that case, and that's exactly what you want. You don't want the bullets. I've had that. That's right on my number right there. So we're good. So these are 42s right here. So we'll go ahead and we'll label these right now as we're making these. That's a 42. So we'll go ahead and put it in there. Get the next one drummed up here. Trickle it up. And basically these right here, these are my completed rounds, and the next stop for these will be into the action of my Remington 700. And the only step we're going to skip is crimping, and we don't need to crimp these, but some of you will. And crimping is pretty straightforward on cases. You would install the crimping die, this is our last die right here, and you can see through it right there, and you can see just basically you're just pushing up, and it just pushes the metal, the brass case onto the bullet harder. And what you would do with this is put it on there until you get a snug fit on the. So you're just looking to crimp the top part of that brass case right there onto the bullet. So all you would do then is wait till you get a snug fit, and then turn it up maximum of a full turn. Full turn, I would say, is probably for military use, machine gun use, something where the bullet's really getting battered up. Whereas if you're going to do run and gun, with a large frame AR, a 308 AR platform. But any of us bolt gun shooters here that are going to take time and shoot each round with precision, the most you'd probably put on there is, I would say, a quarter of a turn, half turn max, just a tiny little bit of pressure to hold it in there. But I can feel them holding in there. And that's what I like about hand loading my rifle rounds, is that, you know, you're giving each one care, and you know each one is good and consistent. You know, I won't measure every single one, but, you know, every 5th round as I'm making them, I'll go ahead and I'll go, you know, for the overall case measurement, you know, overall cartridge dimension. The other thing to do is, as you're prepping your cartridges, is your, you know, your cartridge case dimensions. Over time, any of these shouldered rifle cases are going to lengthen over time, and you will have to trim your brass back. But on a second firing, I've already checked. I checked a few of these, and they're all fine and within specs. It was 228 or so. I forget the number exactly in the reloading manual, but I checked them, and they were all fine. So, well, case trimming is pretty simple. You put it in basically a you know, a holder, and then, you know, a little blade comes around and just trims the end off of the brass. And brass is a soft metal, and that's why you'd want to put it in your gun, and it's also easy to manipulate. So this is a ladder test of mine at 200 yards. That's the longest rifle range I have around here in East Long Island, and this was with Varget. And you can see some of these I didn't even label. They were ugly, you know, and they weren't what I was looking for. But you could see these were some 155 Palmas on the bullseye that were all over the place. They were not good, and that's what you really see. Is my gun particularly didn't like the 155 Palmas until right here, and I was happy with this right here. 144 grains of Varget with you know, at 200 yards. You know, I was happy with that. That was a nice cluster, and that's a really nice cluster right there. So I was pretty happy with those right there. But what I was really happy with is this right here. Let's see if we can get the tape measure lined up here. I would call that group right there, that is that's close to 1.25 inches, because measuring from center to center, or you can measure from the left side of one hole. So folks, I just wanted to thank all you guys for watching here, and these are my completed, these are the 41.5s and 542s right there, and we'll go out and we'll bring them to the range. And just wanted to thank you folks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to post them below. You know, feel free to thumbs up my video and subscribe. But thanks for watching, folks. Appreciate it.